As promised, what I'm going to do is show you 4 different patterns to make with the Kumihimo or braiding from beginner to an accomplished person. So once you've done the first 3, you should be able to do the final one. Oh, but these are the bobbins I was telling you about in the previous video. You can wind your thread or whatever you're using on these, and then it saves it getting all tangled up and hanging down. Today we're going to be using all 3 of my boards, and these can be bought in a set, and they're very, very cheap. Honestly, I don't even think they're $10 for all 3. I'm not 100% sure. I will link them below, so don't worry. I'm going to use the small round, the large round, and the square. The first one we're going to make is this just an 8-strand twist, and what I would say is this is a really popular one. You'll need 8 strands of equal length. I'm going to start with some short bits which are about 18 inches, so I will need 8 pieces of this. Now I've got my 8 strands done. All I'll do is line up my ends here, make sure I've got all my ends in, and then put a knot in the bottom. I always start when I'm using a round disc with the top one being number 32 and the little dot there. Slop that through there, and then what you need to do is make sure that your colours are opposite each other. I'm holding the knot like that underneath with my 2 fingers. So they're all on dots. Pull them so they're nice and tight in there. And then this couldn't be simpler. I'm not going to move around too much because I want to keep it as simple as I can. Now, I work from the top to the bottom, but it doesn't matter if you work the other way. I just find it's easier. On this one, I'll take the one that's on the right-hand side of 32 and put it on the right-hand side of 16. So it's always right to right. And then I'll take the left one and put it to the left. Twist the disc half a turn and then do the same. Right to right, left to left. And honestly, this right to right, left to left will become a mantra for you. Twist the disc around, try and keep the tension. Right to right, left to left. And as you can see, it's moving around the disc now, so it's not on your dots. You're going to already start to build it up there. So let me just give it another twist, and I'll tell you one more time. Right to right, left to left. And if you've started from the top, always start from the top. If you start from the bottom, always start from the bottom. And always twist in the same direction. And your thread should always line up as well. For this pattern, you should never see any black and yellow mixed. There should always be 2 black, 2 yellow, and they should always be opposite themselves as well. There we go. And as you can see, that is already now starting to get that. So we've got 1 full trip around that disc. They're all lined up with those dots. And I now know that this is the next one to do because that's the underneath thread. Really easy. So the second one, which is the novice one, the round twisted one, it's very similar to what you would do before. I've prepared my rat tail already. So I've got 12 strings, 8 of one colour, 4 of another, and my 4 black ones, which are going to make the ridge, are slightly longer by about 20% because you're going to need a little bit more of this one. I've gone over to the larger disc because it's easier to manage on this one, and this is how you set this up. Now, whichever colour you want to be your ridge, so the higher colour, that goes either side like this. I've got 2 on the 8 and 2 on the 24. So you've got this set up. You've got a black one either side of the 8 dot and the 24 dot. You're not using the 32 dot. You've left a space, and then you've got 1 either side. You can do this with more colours if you wish. You could have another colour in here, but then you would make sure that these are the 4 that you have a 3rd colour in. Or these ones. As long as they're working opposite each other, then you'll be absolutely fine and it'll work. Again, I've got hold of my knot, and this is not much more difficult or much different to the previous one, but you are working the colours together. So again, I'm going for the top right, which is this one here. I'm bringing it down and I'm putting it on the right hand side of 18, and then the bottom left, I'm bringing it up and putting it onto the left side. So that's moved over 1. Again, top right, bottom left up. Now I've worked those 4. I can turn my disc 1 way round, and then I can go top right to the right at the bottom, left to the left at the top, and I've worked those 2. Again, turn my disc round 1 way, and it's going that way round all the time. So it's going that way round, and then I'll start from the same side, right, down to the right, left, up to the left, keeping tension on it underneath, and then you give it a twist. Again, right to right, left to left, right to right, left to left, give it a twist. Down, right to right, up, left to left. Twist. And then carry on that until you have used all your thread up. And you will start to get a ridge. Now, I'm going to finish a bit more of this off and I'll show you what it looks like on there. I've been weaving that now for about 5 minutes. And as you can see here, we've got a nice ridge starting to appear on that. The black is definitely higher. All we need to do is just continue weaving until we've run out of the rat tail. The next two I'm going to show you will be on the square disc. Now, you can do the last one on the round disc, but I find it a lot harder. To be honest, you could do this on a round disc as well, but again, I find it a lot harder. It's a lot easier to do it on the right board, and it's the square board. For the chevron, what I do is I like to make it with 4 colours, but you could just make it with 2 colours if you wanted to. For 4 colours, you'll need 16 threads, 4 of each colour. So I've got 4 black, 4 pink, 4 blue, 4 yellow, and then you just get them all again exactly how we did before, and we tie a knot in the end. This is how I've set my board up, and what I've got is I've got my 2 blacks running down there. Next to it I've got my yellows, and both top and bottom is the yellows next. Then I've got 2 blues either side, top and bottom, and then I've got the pinks top and bottom either side. And this is where it's really important that you follow these steps and kind of get these embedded into your brain and muscle memory, because then you can't go wrong. You don't turn this board at all. It always remains in this position, and you kind of work from one side to the other. So what I'm going to do is the first thing you always do is bring down this thread here, which is the right hand center black thread, and you bring it just below the midpoint of the left hand side, so right to left, and then you do the same with the top left one. You bring it down and bring it just below the center there on the right. Then you start at the bottom again and you bring the bottom right up to the top of the left, the bottom left up to the top right. And these are the ones that you're going to be crossing over, and as you can see, they have crossed over here. Now you're going to work these the same way. So you're going to go from the bottom here, you're going to bring this side up here, so this yellow one up to that middle point, the one next to it down to that middle point, then you're going to fill that gap in there. Next to that one, you're going to bring that one down next to that one up to that one down, putting it next to the blue one. So this side is done, and now you're going to do exactly the same again. So you're going to bring it down, up, down, up, down, up. Now you've got these 2 side ones that you need to work with, and they're really easy. I always start from the right hand side. I pull on it slightly and then put it up to the number 9. Pull on this one slightly, bring that one down to the number 9 or down next to the pink. This one up here, this one down there, and now you're back really to where you started from. It's just all your threads have moved along. So you've got the yellow ones in the middle now, and this is where you go again. I work from the top down to just below the middle left, top left, just below the right there, and then the bottom right up to the left, going above it, because you've got that cross, and then the bottom left going just above that one there, and these 2 are crossed over again, and now you're working the same way. So down into that slot there, up there, down there, up next to your other thread, down next to that thread, up next to that thread. So this side's done, down to that thread, up to that thread, down to that thread, up to that thread, all the while keeping attention on the knot underneath. There we go. So they've all crossed over, so we just need to replace these ones. Little tug up there, little tug down, little tug up, little tug down. And now we've got the blue ones that are going to be the center ones. So again, nice and easy. And we just work these the same. Backwards and forwards. One up, one down, down, up, we are starting to get a weave underneath there, and we can then carry on doing that, and each time you'll get a different color that's in the center that needs to come over, and then you'll work your way around. But don't forget, there's no twisting of this board, keeping an even tension or pull on the knot that's underneath. If you will need to replay that, just replay it several times and you'll soon get the hang of it. Honestly, this one is easy. So the lovely chevron pattern is coming through now. I'm really pleased with that. It does look really pretty. So next one is a lot more difficult, and I'm only going to be using the 1mm cord for this because it just makes life a little easier when you're weaving. Now for this pattern here, you need total of 20 threads or strings, and they need to be divided up like this. You want 13 of the base color here, so that's the background color. You want 2 of the color that's going to be the dot. Now I'm doing them in white to show up on the camera a little bit more, but I did them in red on this one. And then the color that goes round your actual dot, you need 5 of. So 2, 13, 5. And now gather them all up and tie them in a knot exactly the same way as you did for the other ones. Because these are thinner threads as well, they are much easier to handle. And this is how you need to have your board set up to be able to get the cords all in the right position when you're weaving. The majority of them are your base colors, and they need to be in these positions. Then you've got your black ones, which are your outline of the spot in those positions, and then your white ones are running almost opposite each other in those positions. If you set your board up like this, you're not going to go wrong. And that's why I find it much easier to do this pattern on a square board than a round board. So most of your yellow are here on the bottom. Again, these are the dots. They're the bits that go round the dots, and the same this side. That's why I number my board as well as I have the letters down there. It's just easier to make sure that you've got everything in the corresponding slot. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the top left cord here, bring it down and put it beside the corresponding pairs below on the left, and then we're going to take this right cord here and we're going to bring it up and pop it to the right. We're going to twist the board a little bit, left down here, the right up to right, twist the board a little bit, left to the left, right to the right, okay, left to the left here, right to that single cord that's up there, twisting your board. So left to the left, right of that single cord that's up there. Turn then, the next pairs, these ones, the left one to the left, far right one of the 3 that are there now, up to the right of that single cord. Turn your board, left to the left. So you're always working in those corresponding pairs. So it's not difficult, it's just that you've got a lot more cords on the board here, and you're having to concentrate on keeping your pairs together. So you've got, again, left to left, then the right to right. 1 notch on the board each time as we are weaving. And again, we're working with the opposite cord. So obviously we know that these 2 are opposite each other here. So left to left, right to right. And we just carry on like this until all our cords have gone. And I'll show you what this looks like as soon as I've got enough weave to show you. And like I said, if you're not 100% sure, just keep rewinding back on this and you'll see it. It isn't as difficult as it looks. And the only reason it looks difficult is because you've got a lot more cords. So just as long as you're keeping track of your pairs and which one you're working on, and you go in from left to left and right to right, you'll be fine. So this is how it's coming out. I've been weaving for about 5 minutes now, and I'm really pleased with that. I love actually how the white is really showing out nicely. There we go, 4 patterns ranging from a very basic one to a little bit more complex one. If you'd like me to show you how to make some wonderful jewelry with all this, and here's some examples here of some jewelry that I have made, some with beads, some without, and how to put the end caps on, then let me know in the comments and I'll make a video on that as well. It is very relaxing and it also can be quite profitable. Take care. Hope you've enjoyed this. Enjoy your crafting. Bye.